there it is. 28 days ago, Monolith Studios shut down. I am Couch Coop, and this video took me longer than it should have done to put together. There's a couple of reasons for that. I reviewed Shadow of Mordor last year, running on the PlayStation 5. No updates, it's 2014, but it's still a beautiful game and well worth looking into. Talking of beauty, no one lives forever. Was that like an Austin Powers thing? Monolith have got a pretty good back catalogue, including Fear, which could have been one of the more stronger supernatural themed first-person military shooters available full stop on any console. So it's probably due to put Shadow of War on the channel. Now, I owned this over on the PlayStation 4, and back in 2017, as a promo, they had some playable versions of the game to look at before release date at a show I was at, so I got the chance to muck around with this prior to it being put on the market. It was a very different time in my life. So I've now got the opportunity to look at this game on ultra settings on PC at 72 frames per second. That's the smoothest I've ever seen a video game. You can't upload at that aspect, unfortunately, but you will have to trust me that I was in heaven. This is such a good sweet spot, playing PS4 games from like 2016, 2017, 2018 on a mid-range PC. They look spectacular. It's something I only have a limited window to enjoy, so make hay whilst the orcs are farming. Shadow of Mordor shook up the open world Lord of the Rings scene because there hadn't really been anything that strong to come out on console. It also introduced something called the Nemesis system, which we will get into, and you would have heard about this. I'm still baffled at how they didn't patent a setup like that, but I'm pretty sure the video games industry is quite plagiarism rich, and if all the devs went around patenting every mechanic, we wouldn't have souls. Like Miyazaki wouldn't have hair due to all the lawsuits getting filed every 2 seconds.
I wanted to see the Nazgul destroy Gondor!
Shadow of War also suffers massively from sequel syndrome. So it was 2017, and if you can think back to the video game revolution that pointed towards every AAA publisher realizing that their video game needs to be online all the time, preferably PvP, and have massive amounts of microtransactions in it, and be a live service. All of that aforementioned got shoved into Shadow of War, much against Monolith's protest. I guarantee it. The line between implementing mechanics like that, I'm super interested in. Whether it's the publisher that comes in afterwards and says you need to do X, Y, and Z, or whether it's given as a stipulation prior to the game even getting made. It's probably both, but with Shadow of War, it didn't go down too well. And a lot of people are like, look, this is the old game, but just with new annoying stuff on it. But there was a lot more to it, and I didn't dig deep enough when I first got hold of this game. I was just like, no thanks, after 2 or 3 hours, but there was some gems in it. First of which is its world building and how it looks. Now guys, help me out here. This is 2017. I'm playing Monster Hunter Wilds, which comes up later in the video because this game pulls a similar trick on you. If you'd have said to me in 2017 that the games you play in 2025 are not going to look too dissimilar, I'd laugh at you. But no one's laughing now. Some of you might be like, hold on a minute, this is 2017 on PS4 and you're showing us Ultra on PC. Surely there was some time difference. October 2017 was the release of the PC version of this game. Bros, I'm serious. Look at the grass moving around. Look at that moss on that brickwork. And this is not like a railsy section of the game. This whole area, this whole map is massive. It's just a tiny section of a tower. There is a conversation to be had about craftsmanship, and you would have heard me mention that with the Wukong video. Some devs seem to be able to extract massive amounts of detail out of the power they're given to work with on that console or machine. And I do think these guys must have been using every inch of CP and GPU to make this game look spectacular, because that's one of its strongest aspects, is its visuals today in 2025.
Push him down!
The second gem, there's about 4 gems, is the Arkham-related amazing free-flowing combat, which technically never ends. If you look in the bottom of the left, you'll see the minimap, and there will be little arrows indicating groups of orcs or individuals. They will all flood towards you if you cause problems. We'll get into the game models themselves in a second, but it's just great indulging and feeling around with the moves. Everything's where it kind of should be. There is technically no block, but you've got a slide between the legs or jump over the shoulders move. It's spectacular looking stuff. Still, if you've played the brand new Spider-Man 2, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's briefly cover that day-to-day gameplay model because it's interesting. It comes in at 2 levels essentially. You get set missions that are at markers that you also have on your UI that you can pull up and go to. But one of the more enjoyable activities, and one of the things Shadow of Mordor really lent on, was the Nemesis system, the orc bosses basically assassinating key members within a section of the map and trying to get out of there, not get detected. And the orcs themselves are quite formidable. Some of them have weaknesses and strengths, and it's all shown to you on this big hierarchy roster. You have to start at the low level dudes, and there's conflicts and switch outs. You never know who you're going to get sometimes if you don't have intel on a particular silhouette. It's very addictive, and it makes you feel like you're sort of crafting your own Lord of the Rings adventure by murdering high rank orcs one at a time. Attached to all of this is an amazing Assassin's Creed traversal model. You can climb absolutely anything. Not only anything, but also at extremely high ghost-like speed. You're partnered with a spirit, and this dude allows you to run really fast, don't take any damage on falling. It just frees up everything about getting through that map really quickly. It's a little bit like being the Crow in the film, or even when you get in full swing on Batman Arkham City and go right over all of the tops of the roofs.
Back him down! Ha!
I suppose you think you're special. I've seen it all and killed them all. You'll be no different.
Some of the orcs' introductions will do your absolute head in. They are unskippable, and they have repeated midriff gyro animation that appears way too often, and it's something you can't really unsee an orc do. Now, as you can see, combat is kind of as it was in Mordor, but there is some additions, including a build move which is extremely OP, where you swing this two-handed massive ghost lance around. But I also want to talk about additions to the metagame, particularly in the loot and gems direction. Your character in Mordor didn't go through any massive cosmetic change with what you were wielding or wearing, but with this there is some variance. Obviously it's always the two-hand sword in that slot, and you only get like a cloak, but you can switch stuff out and start upgrading things. It's exactly the same as that one-off loot system in Valhalla, so it's not like you're looking for a rare glove. It's just there after you kill a boss.
Join your fallen brothers.
That campaign also comes with missions that have a friendly NPC in them, or like a co-op slot. Mordor, to my knowledge, didn't have much of this. It was very much a solo experience. In actual fact, the whole story is wrapped around just you and this ghost dude kicking ass. So having more people into the party wasn't a welcome idea for me with Shadow of War.
This is the meanest evil.
And I think Dead Space 3 kind of suffered this same thing, where they just don't realise what the original attraction is to that game model. It's the reason that Alien Isolation isn't a battle royale. It worries me how much a lot of these AAA publishers and developers actually appear. In hindsight, the mistakes seem a lot more vivid. Anthem, looking right at you. Warner Brothers acquired Monolith, by the way, way back, and then obviously just cut them off and dumped them. EA have done this with smaller studios, and Microsoft did it with Tango. The industry is not a very enviable landscape at the moment. I only hope things settle down a bit and stuff goes back to normal. I blame Tim Waltz. On the subject of some things being unrecognisable now, let's talk about the Lord of the Rings IP itself and those original films. I watched them prior to doing this review, had them on in the background, all 3 of the first films from Peter Jackson. He knocked one of them out a year for 3 years on the trot. I know they obviously did all the filming in one fell swoop, but that's a hell of a thing. And that third film is nearly 4.5 hours long. Try getting Gen Z to do anything for 4.5 hours. 17-year-old in the comments, I've watched all of the Lord of the Rings films 3 or 4 times each, back to back. I do it every other day. Well, good for you. Good for you, mate. Now you're going to watch Space Odyssey. Is that a Netflix series? They probably watched the summary on TikTok at that beautiful aspect ratio, like a little 7-minute Frodo Baggins POV video. I really thought the voice of this Italian character was Mark Strong. I wanted to believe it was Mark Strong, but think about the year. He wasn't on that salary anymore. Yes, it is Troy Baker, the lesser spotted, rare as hell Troy Baker. You'd be really fortunate if you can spot that guy's name in any credits of any video game in the last 76 years. This face mapping, by the way, in this cutscene, 2017, ladies and gentlemen, imagine being a mid-30s white voiceover actor who's been looking for work. Troy has got all of it, bro. All of it. Right? He has got that market stitched up. I don't know how he does it, if he's got enforcers. That's one hell of a rabbit hole. Probably do a video. I think he plays every character in Death Stranding 2.
Same as it ever was.
My gaze is fixed upon the fate of Middle-earth.
Return what you have stolen from me, and I will bring sorrow to you.
I was supposed to be talking about the upgrade on the loot system there, but you guys saw what was going on in the background. Now, I did want to talk about what they showed of this game before its release on some of the sort of PR reels. And it was all amazing looking blue sky, massive trolls, wraiths, dragons, big castles with huge wars spilling out of them. It was a little bit misleading in areas. And there is something I haven't done in the game yet, and you would have noticed, is get on the back of an animal or mount something. It's coming up, and it is actually a skill you unlock. It's first stage, but it wasn't clear to me, so I wasn't getting the prompt when in and around those giant bear-like critters. You also do get a few more airborne foes, and there is always kind of a war going on outside of the gates, hence the big balls of fire coming over all the time, and just activity everywhere at all of the massive doors. There is a lot of NPCs in this map. Avowed, pay attention. Be nice to Avowed, okay?
Where is that filth? I hate not tonight! Trouble! You even know accountant!
But in the title's defense, it does start with the set piece and dramatics after you put about 4 to 5 hours in the game. The front end is just Mordor with a few tweaks, so it's very welcome and easy to get your head around. We see more sort of larger enemies, slightly tougher bosses that you really need to get intel on, because their weaknesses are quite literally the only way to take him down. It's just not one of a few aspects. Also had this dude land right next to me, so I'm thinking, yeah, I'm playing a AAA sequel. How is that performance holding up? You've barely mentioned it the entire video. Have you guys spotted any drops at all? Absolutely nothing. It was amazing. However, back to the Wilds analogy I made at the start of the video, things are about to change on quite a few levels, both aesthetic and gameplay. And you're looking at like 10 hours in now.
Put your backs into it, you maggots! You'll not just...
Yep, you guessed it. The sun comes out. Pulls the biggest Monster Hunter Wilds ever. So it was Monolith to do this first, to put the entire front quarter of their game in darkness, dreary browns, and then all of a sudden go, by the way, your TV does have HDR, and we do know how to use colour. You also get the old mind control ring ability, which allows you to take over enemies' minds. They work for you. They're an icon on the map that's gold, and it's quite cool to get them all to fire from above if you're looking for cover, or even just out and out distract and attack the enemy. Massive angle, completely held back. Could have been enjoying that in the previous 7 hours of the game. what on earth is this, Coop? What game is this? Middle-earth 3 or something? No, this is just the woods, and you get your mount, and your mount has all of the abilities, including sneak and stealth attacks. You might as well not get off the thing. But, you know, stuff happens out here. If I could only play one of these two games again, it would definitely be Shadow of War. There's just loads more in it, it's better looking, and there's areas I haven't even seen. The original game is its purest form, and I recommend going to it immediately if you've never played either in the series, and I'll link directly to the video review. I do go on a bit of a rant about physical media, but I've timestamped it at the beginning. You're going to timestamp that Troy Baker bit? No, I'm going to leave that. I've gotten a little bit addicted to this 2019, 2018, 2017 PS4 on my PC genre that I'm now looking at Need for Speed Heat on Ultra, and it's 60 FPS. That may well make it onto the channel. Monolith, you will be greatly missed, and thank you for these two games. And No One Lives Forever and Fear. My name was, of course, Couch Coop. I'm off to see Snow White at the matinee. I will see you down there, however. I'm not going to go and watch Snow White, don't worry.